When it comes to coral, many people think of trees, colorful rocks at the bottom, or even mistakenly believe it's a plant or mineral. But the interesting fact is, corals are animals of Cnidaria, close relatives of jellyfish. Every coral tree we see, it's actually a small group of organisms. It's called coral polymer. Each polymer is a small cylindrical independent mouth in the middle and many tentacles around to catch the symbiotically living polymers in a sharing nutrition and living. Corals are a group of marine organisms belonging to the play an important role in the construction. Corals are divided into two main groups: hard coral Sliactinia and soft coral Ongolacha. Corals don't just provide shelter for a process of hard coral formation. Hard corals are the product of an long-lasting, and it starts with these tiny organisms called polymers. These polymers are invertebrates of Cnidaria industry. It's shaped like a small bag, with mouth in the center, surrounded by prison. Formation process hard. It's a combination of marine chemistry and lasting for hundreds to thousands of years. The process begins with the sexual reproduction of the right time of year, usually at night during full moons. Coral corporation, at the same time releasing eggs and sperm. This phenomenon is called mapone mass reproduction, a spectacular sight in nature. Eggs and sperm combine to form an egg, then develop into planola larvae, a small larval form, able to swim freely in hairy water. Within a few days to a few, planula drifting along the ocean find the right place to start a new life. After floating for a while, the planula will attach to a solid. It's usually the bottom, dead coral or underwater limestone reefs. This is an extremely important step, because if the larvae don't find the ideal angle, it may die or it may not grow. They tend to prioritize places with the right light enough and have stable flow, the factor to help create favorable conditions and symbiosis with zoonturi algae. It's a vital element. Later, when the larvae are firmly entrenched, they develop into adult corals. Poly begins to secrete calcium carbonate from seawater. It's a biological, helps to create a hard lime body wrap. It's not just protecting the polymer from it's also the foundation for the next of the whole group. Layers of calcium carbonate stacked little by little through time form structures of rich shapes, like a tree, broccoli round block, or tabletop. It depends on the coral and the habitat. After the initial individual hard corals grow mainly through asexual reproduction by a polymer splits to form two identical polymers. Mom grows out polymer from her body. This process is continuous, forming large coral corporations, each individual living in his own lime but connected to other polymer through a system of soft tissues and nutrients. In particular, corals have a symbiotic relationship. Single-celled algae that live in the algae that use sunlight for photosynthesis, creating nutrients for polymer, and help the coral absorb calcium more effectively to build the lime frame. Thanks to this symbiosis, corals can only grow in the sea, tropical, shallow and transparent, where light can reach the bottom of the sea. The process of coral reef formation, and it's a construction, slow but awesome. Hard corals only grow a few millimeters a year to a few centimeters, but over hundreds of thousands of years, they can create giant coral reefs, hundreds of kilometers, like the Red Berea Reef in Australia, natural wonders that can be seen from space. The layers of bones dead corals form on which living corals continue to grow. The cycle goes on and on, that the reef is expanding to become the most complex and diverse to be amazing. I will expand the content further for each type of hard, including ecological, preferred living environment, and physical characteristics. This content will be if you use it to make education or in-depth documentation of hidden deep in the soft tissue of corals are millions of tiny, but it's very important, algae plus Sing rusantale. These are unicellular bialgae of the violet Dinofa group. It's capable of photosynthesis. They're not just roommates. It's a survival part. The relationship between coral and algae. It's the heart of the whole ecosystem. Coral reefs every day. Under the sun through the clear blue ocean. Gasoline zootali absorbs light and shrinks and then photosynthesis produces raw glucose. Glucose energy nourishes the coral polymer. Oxygen helps maintain metabolic process. Thanks to symbiotic, coral can survive in very nutrient-poor waters. where if it's only based on ephemeral capture, they are hard to survive. Actually, up to 95% of the coral's energy comes from. This is why most corals only grow in shallow water. It's warm and there's plenty of sun. The symbiosis doesn't just benefit the coral exchange. Corals provide safe habitats for algae inside their tissue. Air supply nitrogen and phosphorus, raw materials needed for photosynthesis and algae growth. This is a classic example of symbiosis. Forced duplicate symbiox. Both sides can't live without each in the natural environment. Lack of light or stress. Water temperature rise, high pollution. Corals will expel zoontoli from the body, and that's when the bleaching phenomenon. Korean by trin coral. Beyond nutritional role, zoonteli. It's also what causes the coral's vibrant color. Yellow-green. The light brown, copper, and purple all come from this algae. When the algae are pushed, corals lose color, become as white as bone. Signs of a dying coral reef. Here are some hard corals. Hard coral hackers, architects of the reef. Hard corals are the ones that have a strong lime that form the basis of coral reef. They live as a corporation, over time into large structures, variety of shape. Corals have circular grooves like the brain. Slow growth is very solid. Deer horn corals are as thin as deer horns. Fast-growing, easy to regenerate from debris. The moose corals are as large as the deer's horns. Good strong wave resistance, easy to reproduce both sexual. Flat table corals spread out like tabletops. Good light catches, grow fast in shallow waters. Corals are round like rocks. Slow growth, very long-lasting. Thin, circular disc corals can live singly. Suitable for quiet water, strong light. Awesome below is the extended version. Emotion and vivid for part for spinning. The process of coral reef formation, inspiring, is very suitable for use in YouTube or long articles. There is depth, a slow symphony between life and time. One wonder under the ocean. It's formed with patience, as durable as coral reef. No noise, no hurry. They're growing by millimeters and millimeters, year after year, over hundreds to thousands, silently touching the immortal beauty of nature. Every coral reef starts with these tiny creatures. It's called, they live in clusters of raw calcium carbonate hard limestone surrounding the form the protective exoskeleton. When a generation of polymer, the bone is not lost. It's the foundation for the next life. This class overlaps the key. One generation follows. Just build the pillars. Majestic life in the middle of the ocean. You can't build a coral reef anywhere. They need warm seawater and vegetables, sunlight, need a gentle flow. They need stability. But when conditions are, the coral will carve its to the ocean with natural construct, nowhere to match. Common forms of coral reefs. Jeep finging ridges are the most common form of ridges. Development close to the along the shore, like a coral dress embracing the land. It's the first place to come in contact. It absorbs wave energy and creates silence for the coastal echo. In places like Indonesia, the Philippines, or the waters of Vietnam, the park is a cradle for generations of marine. Formed further from the shore, usually a few the reef, and the shore is a lagoon. The water is as soft as a mirror. The reefs are extremely large in scale. The most prominent is the Australian Red Barrier Reef, the world's longest and largest coral. It's also visible from outer space. They're like walls in the ocean, protect the coast from storms. It's the rarest and most mysterious in the middle of the ocean, by circle or arc form, around a deep lake in the middle. These are the vestiges of volcanoes under the sea. When the volcano stops erupting, under the water, the coral continues to around them, forming a spectacular ring of limestone in the blue ocean. From tiny, fragile creature, corals have written the story of endless life, about regeneration, about the building arts of each coral reef. It's a symbol of patience and harmony, a message to humanity. There are wonders that can't be created but only by time, light, and life. If you want, I can turn this into swift, gentle, melodious voice, or create visual effects to turn it into an inspiring video. Do you want to try? Like it if you like. Share if you feel good and subscribe to the channel now to update the latest if you wanted to do it. Any animals, please come. I will follow. Hello and see you later.